Good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center with a tornado warning in play for parts of Dixie County until 8:30 this morning. We need to go ahead and get folks into shelters. We could have a water spout coming ashore right about now here into parts of Dixie County. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in just a little bit tighter here. The gate-to-gate circulation does show this maybe kind of coming on the shore here. We have the reds going away from the Doppler in Tallahassee, the winds going away from the Doppler, and then the wind's going toward the Doppler there in the green. So a tornado warning in play until 8:30 this morning. The possible tornado going to be near Southwest 361 highway here, and this the next couple of minutes. Southwest 658th Avenue as well. So right here along the coast in Dixie County, a tornado warning until 8:30. It's our first of the day in the covered area, and it's pretty strong rotation. We've seen some other areas of rotation here kind of try to make their way closer to the coast here this morning of Dixie County, but they've fallen apart. But this one's maintained itself, if not maybe kind of organized itself a little bit further, as the Weather Service is saying. The tornadic signature is now coming ashore there in Dixie County, about 7 miles north of Horseshoe Beach there, is for perspective. So gotta be in the tornado safe area. You might be wondering what we're talking about. What is a tornado safe area? So let me go ahead and pop up our graphics here to run that down for you guys this morning. So if you're under a tornado warning, you want to seek shelter inside a sturdy building, get as many walls between you and the outside as possible, and you want to protect yourself from that flying debris by putting on a bicycle helmet here in Dixie County. So our first tornado warning of the day in the covered area is for Dixie County until 8:30 this morning. Gonna be really watching things very carefully. I know I just want to kind of know your county here in this situation. I mean, we have areas there along the Gulf Coast that might be seeing more of this action come on in later on. I know the Weather Service in Jacksonville talking about between about 10 and 4 in their counties here as we get further over. I know the county there of Dixie is part of the Tallahassee jurisdiction, but toward north central Florida, northeast Florida, that's covered by Jacksonville, and they're saying between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. is when we could have some severe weather, and that greatest threat for severe weather will be, it looks like, according to the models, I'm seeing this, it seems like with a warm front a little bit further south, the instability staying a little bit south there of the I-10 corridor, Gainesville, Ocala, eastward to St. Augustine, and Putnam and Flagler counties could see the highest threat of severe weather. So we're talking about down here in general, but even up here a little bit, just out of that I-10 corridor, going to have to be watching as well here with that potential as we go back on over now with this tornadic signature again coming ashore right now here in Dixie County, a possible tornado. It's a pretty marshy kind of looking area as you would expect here along the Gulf Coast, but this tornado could actually kind of maybe get itself together a little bit over this as it does impact some of these roadways. So if you have friends and family there around Southwest 361 highway, they need to be taking their tornado precautions here immediately in that area. I said getting here up toward some of these other roads there as well. We have Southwest, it looks like 786th Street in here. So again, go ahead and take your tornado precautions if you're in the path of this potential tornado, this area of rotation here. We have winds right now on the radar going away from the radar in red, and in the green going toward the radar, and that indicates a rotation maybe translating down to the surface here. A possible tornado could be evolving. So let me go ahead. I have our radar scope computer up. This will give us a different perspective here, folks. A different perspective on this. In fact, it kind of gives us a look at the timeline from a few minutes ago as well. We'll pop this up here on our other source on radar scope now. As you can see here, we're seeing our meso signature. Not really seeing any hail with this, but you see some marine warnings. They've been in play for a while here, but I know that path is going to be taking this possible tornado here a little bit further in. Going to be tracking this very carefully here as it does move. That wind again, that circulation very visible about 7 miles north of Horseshoe Beach on the radar. Pretty rural area, but we know people who live out here, so they need to go ahead and take their tornado precautions this morning. Again, a possible tornado here Let's check for debris. It'd be pretty high debris and a pretty significant tornado if we saw that here. See if it's co-located. There's not a clear signature. I would not expect a clear signature, and we've seen situations where you can have a tornado touching down further from the radar, still causing quite a bit of damage, but not have a debris signature because it's just too far away for the intensity of the tornado with an EF0, EF1 type scenario. So again, that can still be winds to about 100 miles an hour possibly in here. So I gotta go ahead and take your tornado precautions there in Dixie County. Just going between some more different modes here. This tornado warning going to 8:30 this morning. We'll go back to the regular reflectivity mode. You have some heavier rain in this area as this possible tornado does move in, mainly rural areas of west central Dixie County. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado 7 miles northwest of Horseshoe Point. At the time the warning was issued, and now about 7 miles north of Horseshoe Beach here, folks. Flying debris can be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or possibly destroyed in some rare cases with a storm like this. So just damage to roofs and windows. Got to be aware of that too. Vehicles, tree damage likely as well. And by the way, if you're wondering why we weren't actually continuing any type of stream here this morning, there's actually no formal tornado watch in play. It's kind of a isolated threat at this moment, but that should go up throughout the morning. I'm going to continue to watch it. Again, I already went over that here at the beginning, but let's kind of go over this again since we had to kind of jump on here with that tornado threat more than anything. We are going to kind of give you an overview since we're on right now of the whole area, because this is a pretty rural zone. I mean, the population in this warning not very high, but it's of course an imminent threat to life and property, and we have to cover that. But let's go ahead and talk about a look here at what is happening across our market area here this morning. Again, you see that yellow area indicative of slight risk, and it seems like that threat may be a little further to the south now based on the energy there and the shear coming together. We have to have energy. We have to have that energy here coming together, and that's kind of been confined a little bit. You see temperatures closer to 70 down toward Ocala. Got to watch storms like these coming ashore here that are kind of isolated because they can take advantage of the rotational and the instability parameters here. The instability parameters, as I go over real quick to those, you can see those there, and then our shear, our significant tornado parameter, it is kind of factoring some other things as well, but again, we have those kind of in play, and those will be able to spread a little bit further in, maybe toward Gainesville and Ocala, maybe Stark too. We'll have to wait and see. St. Augustine, Palm Coast, Palatka in there as well. So this is going to have to be weather aware, especially for the south. Might end up getting a tornado watch a little bit further to the south here. We'll have to wait and see. But right now we have an imminent threat with a tornado warning here in play right now. Parts of Dixie County here in the Big Bend of Florida. You see that rotation on the rotation tracker here, a possible tornado, and if this were to hold together, move maybe closer or across city, hopefully that instability won't let this hold together too far in at this moment, since we have seen other storms kind of collapse as they've done that inland jog. You can kind of see the instability really cuts off here as we get further in, but we have to be cognizant here. Again, a possible tornado in Dixie County on this Thursday morning. We have some of those parameters here that are allowing this to happen as we get in there. You saw that one there real quick. I went past. This is indicative of maybe a weaker spin, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now with our Supercell composite. It's showing higher values in our significant tornado parameter, indicative of maybe stronger tornadic action. So you see a lot of lightning here, though, popping up right around this. That could be indicative of a quick tornado touchdown. Sometimes you can get an increase in that lightning here when you have a tornado touching down, because we haven't seen, for the most part here with this action near the Gulf, all that much lightning showing up. I know we actually did have some pretty nasty rumbles of thunder earlier, though, toward the Stark area, so that was kind of interesting to hear. And in fact, I have a look at the sky before the sun came up. You could kind of see a little bit of that lightning there, not in the exact direction it was coming, but this is kind of shows you. I mean, it was pitch black, but that lightning illuminating the sky about 6:25 this morning. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. If you hear that thunder, that means you're close enough to be struck by that lightning. So keep that in mind. Let's go to the Cedar Key Fire and Rescue Cam. I know we're going to be a little bit further to the south with that comparatively, but let's just kind of see what the conditions do look like there right now on our weather stem technology. You can see that wet type of scenario here in play in Levy County. The same in Dixie, except we have that potential tornado there in an area that's pretty rural, so our cameras might not be able to catch that. I know we have another camera there with weather stem anyway toward Dixie, but again, we do have a tornado warning for Dixie County up the road from Levy here this morning. So let me go ahead and move away from this right now. If we can, we'll kind of send you on back here to another vantage point. I know I'm doing some different things behind the scenes. I'm going to check some of my technology as well. I know I'm looking at my camera. It's pretty rainy outside towards dark right now. So definitely seeing that here this morning. Seeing that rain coming on down. So we're going to go ahead and give you guys an idea of that right now with the Doppler radar, because if you're headed out to school or work around Stark, a pretty heavy downpour accident is the story. State Road 100, really getting it right now as we're going between Stark and Keystone, and even between Lake Butler and Stark as well. Some of that, though, is lifting a little bit quicker, though, at this point along the path from Lake Butler to Stark than it is toward that roadway as you're taking it from Keystone to Stark. But again, watching things carefully. No severe weather right now imminent with this. That's the good news. But we have a tornado warning toward the coast here. Weather Service Tallahassee watching something in Wakulla County. So they're watching a storm there in southeast Wakulla that has a bit of a hook on it, but the velocity data isn't quite there yet at this point. They're south of St. Mark's, it looks like. Let's see there. We have some other vantage points we can go to, and I see what they're talking about here on our other modes. So let me go ahead and pop this up right now. We'll go ahead and pop this on up if we can. There is some spin here southeast of St. Mark, so this is a more populated area, but nothing tornadic. It doesn't seem yet as we go to correlation coefficient. I know we had some interesting looks here earlier. That's probably just going to be some of that accident out in front. That's probably not going to be any debris there, but again, we do have some wind enhancement, at least in Wakulla County. No formal tornado watch yet, but it's going to have to be kind of mindful of what can happen here this morning. Again, a tornado warning in play, and we have some other spins breaking out here in the Gulf, and this is why I've been on guard and kind of concerned, because we have some discrete storms now that we have to watch. We're seeing some things, at least isolated in nature, where you have a spin here. This is to the south and west there. If you're looking really parts of Dixie County, as we're getting out there toward the Gulf, you see some areas of green and red coming together off of Taylor and Dixie counties here. Gotta be kind of cognizant as we again have a tornado warning for Dixie County. It's weakened the circulation now as that instability is lacking further in, but the problem is that warm front's going to be helping more of that energy to come in later, and we're going to have those shear parameters here aligning as well, so we have to be on guard. This warning may go away pretty soon. Might be able to go off for a little bit, but later on it might not be the case. We have to be weather aware here today, because even though it looks like maybe the rain's coming down, we're not getting anything too bad as we get toward other areas here in north central Florida. That could change later on. I know we're on the Tallahassee radar there, so let me go ahead and give you the broader view so we can kind of get a better look at how this rain is. I mean, we've gotten already 6/10 of an inch here around Stark today, but again, the severe threat hadn't really kicked in yet. But as we have these storms here kind of come on in, we have to be mindful of what can happen. Again, a tornado warning for Dixie County here. That red polygon, that goes into 8:30 this morning, a possible tornado here in that area. But again, we have to watch other storms here could come on into the picture. And then just watching here, even up further to the north as well, in the Gulf, there's potential here of tornadic development. So there's the mesoscale discussing, folks. 60% chance of a watch being issued now is what the Storm Prediction Center in Norman's saying. I was expecting this, honestly. It makes sense based on what we're seeing within the radar algorithms, within this setup, within the parameters, because things held off there overnight. Really, we had a tornado warning out in Bay County toward Panama City, just west of there, about 2 a.m. Eastern, 1 a.m. Central or so. But until then, with the tornado warning just being issued there in Dixie County, we hadn't had anything there. Tornado watch for Wakulla, Liberty, and Franklin was allowed to expire, but now it looks like a new watch going to have to be issued here, as the Storm Prediction Center saying intensifying thunderstorm development pose an increasing potential to produce tornadoes inland of coastal areas across much of northern and central Florida, perhaps as far west as Tallahassee, but probably not quite that far west, I wouldn't think here. Just looking at everything on the mapping, they put that in here, probably more toward Taylor County, but to the southeast of a broad, deep, occluded lower mid-tropospheric cyclone centered over the Ozark Plateau vicinity. The surface cold front is advancing eastward through the Florida Panhandle. Just reading, they're discussing here from the Storm Prediction Center verbatim. I know we get a little technical here, but sometimes it can kind of help you guys understand what's going on, as the front is preceded by the weak northern flank of a more extensive squall line now extending across the northeast into the south central Gulf of Mexico, which is advancing through the Big Bend, and as the front and the convector boundary continue eastward beneath the difluid and increasingly cyclonic mid and upper flow there. We're going to be talking about things that are showing up in the latest model output suggest that the moist, warm sector will begin advancing inland of the Gulf Coast. So instead of the tornadic accent right of the coast trying to spin up, we're talking about areas maybe closer toward the I-75 corridor later on. They're talking about this threat really getting going here across much of northern and central Florida by about 10 to noon here. And it appears that the boundary layer dew points will increase to the lower 70s and possibly contribute to the mixed layer CAPE in an excess of 1,000 joules per kilogram, despite the continuing presence of weak lapse rates there. We're going to have to really be watching, is what this tells us. The environment may become increasingly conducive there to the inland development of discrete thunderstorm development, which we don't get all that often around here. And with these parameters, we really have to be kind of careful. So they're saying here that the intensification there along the prefrontal convective line may also be problematic here as well. We're going to be talking about evolving supercell structures, which may pose a risk for tornadoes and locally strong surface gusts. So probably going to get a tornado watch here pretty soon from the Storm Prediction Center in Norman. But right now we have an active tornado warning continuing for another 14 minutes here in Dixie County. Tornado warning here this morning. You don't see the rotation is tight there, but you see other candidates that could end up producing waterspouts / tornadoes as they come ashore here later on. Gotta be aware here. The area rotation of McCullough we're watching is kind of bright on this mode, but again, tornado warning for Dixie County until about 8:30 this morning. I know we're sticking wall to wall. Sometimes we don't do it like this, but I just want to make sure everybody kind of knows what's happening, because we'll probably have a little chance to catch our breath, hopefully here. But the way these are developing so quickly, that may not even end up being the case. I mean, we're getting a bunch of areas of rotation with these storms here in play, so we got to be really careful of what could happen here. We need to be really cognizant. I mean, these areas of greens and reds coming together indicative of potential tornadic development. So again, we're watching this area in Dixie County, not terribly concerned with that right now. We're not seeing a whole bunch there. It doesn't look like it. They look at our debris detection mode. We really have to have something stronger to get anything to reach the surface, and I suspect this warning will probably be dropped here before the storm gets toward Cross City. This storm, though, we have other storms, again, we have to be watching for, we have to be careful of and aware of here today. So I'm going to go ahead and check some new information here, so see if there is some new information, I should say, here with our power outage and mapping. So right now, Levy County, Dixie, no power outages showing up as about 8:12, according to poweroutage.us. But we're going to be watching some things. I know we're watching Tallahassee as well, because they just had some of the storming that's kind of move on through there. Some of the worst again to the east at this point. But let's go ahead and pop up the FSU weather stem camera there to kind of show you guys what it looks like there at Doak Campbell Stadium. The worst kind of passing on through here. Could have some lingering moisture, but we're really going to be seeing that severe threat drop on off now with that kind of pushing through maybe a little bit earlier than we were anticipating toward Leon County. That's good news for you guys, and Tallahassee and Albany, for that matter. Your severe threat really dropping off there, but again, we have to be really watching toward north central, northeast Florida there, even central Florida outside of our viewing area as well here. Really got to be cognizant of what could happen, how things are going to be setting up here with the weather scenario. So again, watching things very carefully. Again, a tornado warning continues for Dixie County until about 8:30 this morning. This area right here really needs to be watched toward Taylor County. This area of spin, I'll kind of point it out for you guys here on the shot. Again, gotta be mindful of that. We have some other areas of weaker spin here as well. So those will be something to watch, but this might be there in about 30 minutes in Taylor County there, based on our timing. You used to have some other areas too. We have that area in Wakulla that's going to be moving in towards southern Jefferson, but right now the only active tornado warning, which is for a weak area of rotation, is in Dixie County. So again, continuing to watch things here. I know we've been showing you some different things in the Weather Center. Now, I'm going to see another graphic I have. Now, this is before this other tornado warning was issued, so we're just going to kind of pop this up, though. We'll kind of keep up with it throughout the day, possibly, depending on how busy we are. But now, as we just got the tornado warning canceled, we have 76 tornado warnings that were issued here by the office in Tallahassee for the year. 2 today, 1 earlier in Bay County, another there in Dixie, which just again got canceled. So we'll wrap up the coverage here soon. But Jacksonville, 40 tornado warnings for the year. Haven't had any in the Jacksonville area since Elsa, if you can believe that. Now, Tallahassee, we had some earlier in October, but in our viewing area, until the one in Dixie County there just a moment ago, we hadn't had any tornado warnings since Mindy. So, again, that was a warning there in southern Georgia. So that warning just going away for Dixie, but now I got to be watching for some other warnings to pop up. Jacksonville counties especially here later on today. Going to have to see how the count does go up. But now 76 tornado warnings for the year for Tallahassee there in the office. That's those warnings out of the Love Building. So again, right now we're going to take a break because I have a feeling this next storm could be something to royal watch here in Taylor County. I'll be watching there around some of these beach areas here. As you can see, this is really tight rotation, folks. So giving you guys an early heads up in Taylor County, a possible tornado maybe headed your way in about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit less even. So another tornado warning could be issued soon. What's another area rotation in Wakulla, but it's not too impressive at the moment. Could change quickly, but we got a lot of different areas to watch here today. We're going to keep you updated and be back in a little bit, at least as conditions do warrant from the Weather Center. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for trusting me for now. We'll go on over toward our other mode here. Rotation tracker, seeing some lightning there in the Gulf. And then you're seeing here on our overview of the scene, those dew points here. You can see how they're in the upper 60s in some spots toward the coast here. And that's more indicative of riper conditions for some severe weather. With that warmer air coming on into the picture, the parameters are really going to start ticking on up, and that tornado watch is going to be issued soon. Go ahead and charge those devices up if you're toward north central northeast Florida, especially even eastern Big Bend as well. Be prepared if we have some nasty weather. Just be ready in case you have some severe weather impacting you, as damaging winds, isolated tornadoes going to be threats here at about 4 o'clock or so, as we're looking as far east as parts of north central and northeast Florida, and then I know even towards central Florida that might linger a little bit later on. So stick with me here from the Weather Center.